I would like to get into. You keep talking about Liberation Day. I have no idea what this means.
USA.
It has to do with Trump, tariffs, which I'm sure can only mean good things.
As
the great
Atrioc
country
is pulling this up. Partially why we haven't talked too much about this stuff, because we have considered it, is that this has changed so rapidly, so often since Trump came into office. Literally every week, he's changing what is happening with tariffs. It was like, we're going to put massive tariffs. Never mind. It's going to be tit for tat. We only match other countries' tariffs. Never mind. Full tariffs on these countries. Like going back and forth with Canada and Mexico and all. It's like been all over the place. And this announcement, correct me if I'm wrong, was him being like, this is the day where we really set it out. This is the tariff policy.
So during the campaign last year, he said that November 20th, whatever the election day was, November 4th, that's Liberation Day. And then we got there and it came and went. And then he said Liberation Day will be January 20th, my first day in office. And that came and
That's Liberation.
And then he said,
so
ever since then,
we weren't liberated yet.
Well, no, it didn't quite happen. But this is the real day. He said April 2nd, that is Liberation Day. That is the day we let out our truly sweeping tariff package across all the enemies who have been, quote, I don't know if I have the quote here, but
is he going to say nice things?
It was like, I'm going to say this. It was like taking advantage, pillaging, and raping us.
Did he use that word?
Use that word directly. I'm not putting that in his mouth. That was the direct quote. So
I didn't realize we were trading with like pirates.
I didn't.
I thought we were just buying goods. I didn't realize I was being
the guys like in Canada selling us like soft timber are Vikings.
Dude, so I have this
raiding
our
image. Villages. Wow.
He had this.
Did not realize.
So I want to show this image that I'm bringing up here. Sorry, this is him pulling up on stage a list of all the countries who will now be receiving new reciprocal tariffs. Basically, they looked at whatever they counted as a tariff being used against us. And then there's a lot of like nebulous discussion here, but he said, we're going to give you tariffs back essentially equal to what you've given us. That's the idea. And we're going to counter back and we're going to make sure the trade is fair. Some of it's based on them just having a trade advantage. Like we're buying more of their stuff than they buy of us. So it's like not fair. We need to balance it. So you said, like, we have to worry about, I think the average American farmer is deeply worried about Svald and Jan Mayen taking advantage of us. I think
I'm sick of it.
They've been pillaging us. The herd in McDonald Islands have been,
What is that? Is that a country?
This is a country.
What is Svalbard and Jan Mayen?
I think it's a small island chain. I don't
know. Okay.
Wait, isn't Svalbard like that Norwegian island where they keep the seeds?
I mean, Norway's on here differently. So that's
confusing.
This is some kind of separate
this must be
entity.
something different.
They've been
Tuvalu. Tuvalu's been fucking us over.
I'm sick of it.
Yes. You know, Twitch has to pay money for the .tv ad.
These are like Pacific Island nations with like, tens of thousands of people. Maybe less.
So we need to tariff them. Norfolk Island's getting a 29% tariff. This is so it's extreme, right? So it's across the board. I mean, this list is massive. And I want to bring this up again.
Well, while you're pulling that up, I just want to. So the idea is that, in theory, he is matching tariffs that other countries already have on the U.S. Right? I'm going to do my best at the risk of. I'm in the villain chair. I'm going to do my best to vocalize the argument for these tariffs to some degree. But first, I want to.
The villain chair.
Yeah, the villain chair is powerful. Again, I want to reiterate that not every single idea I express here is what I am advocating for, but certainly that is. The most common thing I've heard from people saying tariffs are good is these are reciprocal. Countries outside the U.S. are already have these major tariffs on us. We have much, much lower tariffs in return.
Okay.
So that's reciprocal, right? That's the idea.
One thing. Well, are they reciprocal? Because you said that this is not only based on tariffs that they have placed on us. This is based on whether or not we have a trade surplus or deficit with them, which is different.
It's like things that could be counted as tariffs. So it's not like them specifically having a hard tariff on us.
Yeah.
It's like a mix of, like, let's say, for example, if they have only a tariff on picking a random good, like rice, or if they have a tariff on one good, it's being broadly blended across a whole thing, and we're doing a blanket tariff on their whole country. Or if they have a tariff, or if they have a thing where it's certain things can't ship there. Whatever. There's any type of thing is being calculated as a number and it's being blended and saying, we're just going to blanket that out.
And we're tariffing back all goods from that country in response.
It's a blanket.
This is the blanket number that applies to everything that country sends us.
That's correct.
So just to make sure I'm following this, if India, for example, tariffs American corn, which they do,
Yeah.
there's massive tariffs on American corn, and the problem there, from the farming perspective of Americans, is we can't sell corn to India, but we buy tons of stuff from India. And the idea is, if they're specifically tariffing corn, we are matching that against all Indian goods.
It's not exactly the corn number. It's like they're estimating what they think the overall number would be based on the things that get tariffed. They're making a blended number, and they're saying we're fighting back. That's the idea. Okay. This is on top. These reciprocal tariffs are on top of the tariffs he's already done. So like China, for example, already has, I don't know the exact number, 25%, something like that tariff to US to China. He's added an additional 25 to fight this reciprocal tariff. That's the idea. So
wait, today he added 25?
Yes, today.
Wait, doesn't that mean
right
it's like
now? It's like in the middle of the day.
Doesn't that mean it's 45 total now?
Yes, no, it's 54 now.
54.
The tariff on China is now at the 54% on all goods.
I want to get a timeline here. I believe at the beginning of the year it was 10, right?
Yes.
Before Trump.
Yes.
And then he upped it to 25, right?
Yes.
So it became a 25% tariff from a 10. And then today it goes to 50.
Was the big, and again,
I feel like in the air, I feel a little liberated.
I'll keep it. I'll keep it a stack.
Yeah, keep it a stack.
Because I think something with issues like this is that oftentimes when you talk about something like tariffs as a regular consumer, it's not super clear how it will immediately affect your day-to-day life. I am groaning right now because I run a company that manufactures clothes in China and like often in China, and we bring them over from China to the US to sell them. That is how Mogul Merch makes a lot of the clothes that it makes.
You pick only the sweatshops, right? You're always trying.
54% is crazy, dude. This is bad for what I have to do this year. This is bad for the business that I effectively run.
Can you quickly explain for my audience what you're doing at Mogul Moves?
Yeah,
I actually
so
don't.
my
This is
longest-
Ludwig's company, right? Yeah.
My longest term job with a lot of people don't know this. I literally have a day job. I work at Ludwig's company, Mogul Moves. My old job was that I ran his merch company. Not only for him, it also did the merch for the Yard. It used to do merch for other influencers for a time. But we mostly just focus on Ludwig's clothes now. My job has changed a little bit. I run Ludwig's like whole company now, but I am still in charge of the merchandise as well. The reason that this affects this so directly is like usually like, you know, if you happen to be listening to this and you happen to be someone who's bought some of our merch over the years, you might notice that it's actually like pretty like high quality stuff, like something impressively custom made for what you'd expect from influencer merch, which is something we're very proud of. The way things like that work when you want to make like a really custom jacket with specific specifications and not just a blank hoodie that you like print on, which is a lot of what merchandise is, you have to make the specs of the product and then go to a factory and get that product specifically made. A lot of the industry for that type of item exists primarily in China. China has a very, very developed and specialized manufacturing sector because of all the business they've done over the past decades, right? And a problem is a lot of that type of manufacturing doesn't even exist in the US. There isn't a local option you can go to because economically, it doesn't really make sense for that type of company to exist. Like if I wanted to make that type of custom clothing in the US, I would need to go to a US factory that might be able to do that. And that sort of business for those special types of jackets or hoodies or whatever we want to make don't exist in the US. So we work with factories in China, factories in Portugal, places where that is more like economically viable and that industry does exist that can make that item. So in the short term, like in response to these tariffs, right? The tariffs that already exist on China and the increase that had gone into place prior to this was already affecting our new orders of clothes going into this summer. And it's actually been tough because the drops we have coming up are also licensed drops with like IP. So you're balancing the fact that you have to split the costs with like the licensor that you're working with. Now the cost of manufacturing the goods is going up because of these tariffs. And then this adds a huge percent to the base cost of those goods that we're making. I'm locked into those contracts to make with those factories already. I can't back out and like make another decision now. So that is why I am like, this is a very selfish reason to be exasperated, but I think probably something that other business owners in the US are feeling right now is they see this giant list and then be like, oh, this fucks me over,
This
basically.
is perfect. Let me just go into this real quick. This is a perfect example.
I also, I want to hear it because this is exactly what Trump wants.
Exactly.
Your
But I
response
wanna
right
explain.
now, which is
So Donald Trump would like you, in response to that,
Oh, yeah.
to build a factory in America.
I know.
Or for the demand to create a factory in America.
I'd love that.
That is what he would like, so that you would do this. And I can.
How much could it cost, Michael?
I don't
$10?
agree. But I want to steel man this argument. Okay, the idea is that all our manufacturing has gone to these different places. We want to bring it back. If we make it too expensive to buy from there, eventually someone will build it here. Is the idea. Now we've talked about the Jones Act and how that stuff can end up backfiring, and American consumers end up paying more for like a less quality product where they build up. But not even that. So if you are a person with a bunch of money and you're thinking, okay, well, I guess I'll build this factory.
Me.
What you have to think about is in longer term cycles, like
With
more than
factory
a couple
building
years.
money.
So you're like, okay, if I'm going to build this, then in 4 years or whatever, these tariffs better still be around. Because if they go away or they change, then I'm left with this unprofitable American factory that I spent all my money on, and then everyone's back to buying stuff from China for cheaper. So the tariffs have to be truly ironclad and rock solid and long-term and built with that in mind. Now, what we've seen so far is so chaotic and so scatterbrained and so up and down, and so that it makes it impossible for any businessman to realistically get the funding, the agreement, the board approval to be like, all right, well, I'm gonna take the risk and I'm gonna build this in America. That's even if this would work. Now, there's other many.
Can I say the other part of this is okay, so part of the reason that the factory doesn't exist in the US at all in the first place, right, is that if you opened that factory, the prices would be higher than the Chinese one, right? You would have to be the labor cost, the cost of building the factory,
can't even hire kids
everything.
here.
We can't even get the kids involved these days, and I'll bring that around when we talk about South Korea. My problem is that not only is this about is it kind of impossible to move forward with an idea like that, right?
Yeah.
At my scale, I can't even make a decision like that. I can't be the one who opens the factory. I would rely on people with more money and more business interest in opening that factory to begin with. But even if that factory opened, the prices and costs of running that factory mean that whatever they produce would be more expensive than what I was getting from China or Portugal before. And the prices of how I have to sell the custom jacket that maybe I do get to make at that factory eventually are way higher than what I would have been able to sell the jacket at. So the hoodie that maybe we get to sell for, I'll make an example in my head. A common, a nice hoodie that we recently made cost around $80, $85. The margin to Mogul Moves at the end of all of that was a $20 margin-ish. And if we wanted to maintain that margin, the price just would have to shift up by whatever the value of the tariff is on that good, right? And if I went to that American company that's producing it at a higher cost, then I have to sell my consumer a more expensive, more inaccessible hoodie. They are not benefiting from it either. Less people will be able to buy that product. If they want it. And I realize I run a merchandise company, right? There isn't nothing, no one's lives are no one's lives are at stake by being able to get the Mint Mogul Moves hoodie that we made or something. But I'm just making a point of it's not like this US factory gets built and then we magically get to go back to the costs and the price of the good pre-tariff. It's that industry just happens to exist in the US now. Or that
more
factory just
expensive, but
happens
now
to be
it
in
has
the
some
US.
jobs in the US.
Exactly. And then that's ignoring the point that Brandon
And this
said.
is applied to every good, not just merchandise.
Yes.
Every good from nearly every country at the exact same time and with no prior even leak of what the numbers would be. Again, I've been watching this very closely up to this day. As of last night, the market was in panic because they don't know what he's going to announce. He comes out and all of these numbers hit at once. And the market was up today, and then this got announced, and it tanked. I mean, just fucking plummeted. You guys are doing terrible in the stock market competition.
Yeah, we are.
And you're doing fine?
I'm doing okay, but I'm down. I mean, everyone's down from this. This type of unreliability is one of the worst. I don't agree with tariffs in general. I think there's a long history.
Yeah.
Again, if you go back to the 1920s, into the 1930s, in the Great Depression, they had the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act at the exact same time, where they thought it would bring prosperity. It didn't. It also didn't last very long. because people hated it so much they had to get rid of it, which is exactly what people who are looking at this are thinking. I'm not going to make big plans around these tariffs because they're going to be so unpopular. They're going to get rolled back.
Yeah.
And so
So in the
it's just
meantime, it
causing
only
chaos.
causes
It causes
damage.
higher price in the short term. And this is the second thing I want to say. I know you're going to bring up something, but I want to show one more thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this, but Japan, China, and South Korea historically are not friends. Usually they don't get along. Japan and China have so many problems. There's like huge anti-Japan sentiment in China.
They're close to They're all close to each other.
I don't
thought they would all
understand.
kind of be.
And the
chill.
fact
Like us
that they
in
are
Cuba, I feel like.
the fact that they are teaming up in response to these tariffs should be the biggest alarm bell siren. We have tariffed if we had a strategic plan to just target China to get some manufacturing back, and we got all our allies in on it, and we like work together, I could see it. I'm not a big tariff fan, but I could totally see it. But when you try to attack everybody 500v1, they become friends with each other and not you. It's very isolating. I don't know how. I guess what I would say is like, if you're out there and you hate the woke or whatever, it is not woke to dislike this. It's okay to dislike this. Like, even if you're I have people that I read in my feed who are the most hardcore, like, Republican businessmen. They fucking hate this. Everybody that I can read who cares about the US economy is like against this. And so I'm trying to understand that, like, I don't see the benefit. I would love to have a better understanding of the benefit. And if maybe you want to argue it or tell me what you've heard, because
it's tough to build the steel man right now because
I'm having a tough time
expensive.
building the
it's
steel man.
it's so expensive to build the steel man, bro.
I'm going to use this flimsy American-made steel to try to. So, I not only am I not